Hello everyone, this is Wistful Deal here, and today I wanna explain to you guys real quick on my true excitement and happiness for Cyberpunk, as well as my complete disappointment. I'm adjusting this camera here real quick. But, anyway, I want to explain to you guys my simple excitement and love for the game of Cyberpunk that CD Projekt Red made, as well as my sheer disappointment in the game and with CD Projekt. So, I do love the game very much, don't get me wrong, and I do have a lot of fun, I do have a lot of fun playing it, but my sheer disappointment of the game is not that it's running bad for me at all, because luckily I'm on PC, and it's surprisingly decent for what I have. When I've heard before the game officially launched that the reviewers, that they were saying that you're gonna need, a beefy computer in order to push it out, to get it to work and stuff. I was a little nervous and worried and skeptical of mine, because I don't have the most powerful graphics card. I mean, I have a kick-ass CPU and motherboard, but I think it's not the processor, the GPU, my NVIDIA graphics card, that's not necessarily the strongest. So, I currently, from what I own, I have a GTX 1080, not a GTI, just a GTX 1080. So when they were saying that you're gonna kind of need to have a more powerful computer, I was kind of a little nervous of that at first, but luckily it's going surprisingly decent. At least at medium settings, I can get at least 60 FPS, 60 to 40 FPS with at least 30 to at least as low as 20 for me on my PC. And as much as I like the game, I don't plan on showing you guys any recording game footage of it or doing a let's play of it anytime soon, at least to where the game is more polished and more decent, which I do trust the developers at CD Projekt Red to eventually fix and get a hold of. So, excuse me. So, recently, just today, I believe they launched the hotfix 1.05 or whatever, that also fixes the bugs and everything on PC as well as the consoles. So, if my game's doing decent, if the game's decent on me, then how come I'm not gonna be playing it, or how come I don't like the game if the game's at least decent for me? Well, the point is that I do like the game. I really do love it. I like the story. The voice acting's really good, and it's not really the PC part that I have an issue with, because the PC is perfectly fine. What I mainly am having a gripe for today, in more in this video, is the freaking console versions. Why, how did it get this bad, CD Projekt? And this is what disappoints me the most, because I did find it suspicious that they weren't letting anyone do any gameplay footage of their own game, and they weren't letting anyone do their own review until the game was officially released. Now, I thought that was kind of scummy to me, and how they would block anyone that would, break those rules. And to be honest, I think they, instead of releasing the game, especially at the state that it's been currently in now for the past week or so, and since we all pretty much know what's been going on over there at CD Projekt and with the game, I personally think you guys should have just delayed the game. That's what I think they should have done. You should have just delayed it for another whole year back in excuse me, September or November. And even though people would be really pissed and upset, I mean, don't get me wrong, I would have been discouraged as well. But you know what? If I have to wait a little bit longer for a game to come out, if I have to wait a little longer for a game to come out, just so that when it does come out, it's polished, it's fixed, and it's actually functional and playable, then I can freaking wait. It's like ordering something at a restaurant or whatever. If I have to wait 10 or 20 freaking minutes just so that my pizza can be perfectly good or cooked or burger or whatever you want to throw in there. If I have to wait, if I order something and I have to wait extra time just so that the cooks over there can make absolute sure that my food's actually ready and it's actually, good enough to eat and that's actually good and yada yada, then I can freaking wait. It really discouraged me how people would throw fits and stuff. I mean, yeah, it's discouraging. It's discouraging. It was discouraging back in like November when they delayed the game and whatnot. But I mean, come on. The whole point I feel like was when they would delay the game was to get it fixed and ready. And even though the game's at least decent and fine on PC, it's the console versions that kind of upset me. And even though I'm not a console player at all, I'm definitely a PC guy, it still disappointed me. And I'm still excited for the game. I still love the game, and I'm definitely gonna play some more of it when the developers hopefully, and I say that as quotation or whatever, in quotations, hopefully when they do fix the game, if they ever do, fingers crossed, that the game would eventually be polished enough, not just on the PC version for what was promised, but also the console versions. Now, I'm not too sure how they're really gonna do it with the old gen consoles like the Xbox One and PS4. I don't know how they're gonna do that because with the new next gen consoles, it's more. I know that's definitely going to be a little bit more of a profit, and it's going to be a little bit more easier. Even though a lot of people have the PS4 and Xbox One, and it just really discourages me how the developers there at CD Projekt decided to release the game at this. I don't know if it's either because they were just too nervous to delay the game again because they knew they were going to get some backlash. Because the way I see it, it could have been either way. Either release a broken game and have backlash, or delay the game again just to get it polished and everything, and then also have some backlash. And I kind of see that it may not be an easy choice because it's around the holidays, and you can really get your money's worth. And they sure did. They really did. They got like over 8 million, like an over like $8 million off of copies or whatever. Over 1 million players on its first day of launch on Steam. Over 1 million was playing the game. And even if the people weren't playing the game, there's like over 1 million or so that were watching the game. And that, I gotta tell you, that's pretty insane. But I think it would have been better in the long run for the company and for the consumers as well to excuse me, to just delay the game again, just delay it back up to next April. And even though people would have been pissed, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a little discouraging to me when they would delay the game again. But to be honest, I figured that whenever they would delay the game, that they're just working on fixing it again. And I don't know what exactly happened. I don't know if it's either that some of the employees though just felt pressure to launch it even at its broken state, and they just kind of felt like doing that because they didn't want a backlash again. But I think it may have hurt them even more that they released the game at its state that it's in. And I see some reports, not reports, but I see some comparisons of people comparing the game's bugs of Cyberpunk's bugs to like Skyrim and Fallout 76, and that they're saying they're just as bad as Bethesda. I feel like that's pretty harsh. I feel like that's really harsh because as much as hype as this game is, I do have faith and high hopes. Hopefully, fingers crossed again, that eventually around this Christmas break that the developers, after the Christmas break and around next year, that the developers will get this game back up to the state that it originally should be in. And I believe that the developers here would do something about it. I mean, just look at freaking Bethesda. They can't even, those developers can't even bother to freaking finish the game. They just rely on the fans to send to it. It's like, the way I see it is that it's simply like food. Back to food again. Well, it's like with Bethesda, it's like you order something like from I don't know Papa Murphy's or whatever. Let's say it's like the Papa Murphy's, only this time it's a decent pizza or whatever. Just as an example, you pay for it and then you have to kind of put it in the oven and kind of cook it. Whereas with City Project, it's pretty much where it's like you order something, it didn't come out the exact way you wanted it to, and there's kind of like a couple things missing, so now they're taking it back and readjusting it, and hopefully as like this comparison, as this thing that I'm saying, that hopefully they fix up the pizza, they we cook it or whatever per se, and hopefully they get it right, and hopefully the customer, just as an example, as a prime example that they can be happy and satisfied with, and hopefully they can get their reputation back. But yeah, if it were up to me, I think it would have been better in the long run just to pull it off and delay it again, despite how much backlash they may have gotten through angry people that just want the game now. And that's the thing that really kind of discourages me. It's kind of the same thing with Bethesda with Elder Scrolls 6, but the only difference is that I can kind of see more of the point now because Bethesda has just been releasing, the same old game of freaking Skyrim for the past 5, 6 years. I mean, we got the special edition now, which I'm not even gonna touch. I don't even bother touching just for the sake of better graphics. I mean, I'll rather keep the old Skyrim that I usually have on my Steam. Thank you very much. But I mean, I do think that it was definitely very wrong for CD Projekt to manipulate us into lie. I do find it very deceiving how they said that the game runs surprisingly good on PS4 and Xbox One, and I just find that very discouraging despite that being far from the case. And I do think they deserve a lot of backlash. I do think they deserve to be in the wrong for what they did, but let's also give them a second chance as well. As much as it may have been wrong for them to do what they just did, I do have faith that they are. I don't think they're anything, and there's still nothing like the other companies in the gaming industry that may be more deceiving. Because to be honest, if it was EA that done this or Ubisoft or whatever, I guarantee you there'll be a whole lot more backlash. But and I do see Cyberpunk making a comeback and a rise again once everything gets stored. Once if we give the developers a chance, that is, if we give CD Projekt Red a chance to fix the game and to excuse me, give them a chance and to make the game from the way that it really was, I do think that there definitely will be a comeback, and they can definitely give some trust back, but they just ultimately hurted their own company and finance as well from all the angry, unhappy customers giving them their refunds back, which I don't blame them. I don't think there's anything wrong with the customers giving them the refunds back because it's something they bought, and if you bought something that's broken, that isn't functioning well, you definitely, I believe, fully 100% have the right to have your money back with if the products that you bought isn't even functional and working yet. And I do hope that we can give the developers a chance again, and that hopefully we can give them another second chance and to hopefully get the game working again. And I don't see the same. These developers aren't like EA or Bethesda by any chance, because like I said before, because with EA, with some of the history and stuff that they have done as well, even though I think they've made a slight comeback so far with making Battlefront 2 a new comeback, which I definitely have, and I definitely need to make a video at some point a match on that game because I'm such a huge fan of Star Wars. I surprisingly haven't played much of it actually, but I'm definitely looking forward to be playing that game or the classic version, classic Battlefront 2. Either way, I'm definitely gonna record some of those games, which reminds me. But anyway, back to the point. Also, I'm trying to say is that I do think it's purposefully right for CD Projekt Red to get as much backlash as they are because of the choices that they've decided to make, and it really discourages me back then how people were just they just wanted to push the game and just wanted to get it out. I understand the hype and excitement for the game, and I do understand that you just want the game and you just want to get it and get your hands on it and play it. But I think another delay should have would have saved them a lot more despite the backlash because now they're actually facing um, hardships. Sony recently pulled the game out from their PlayStation Store, which I find insane. Plus, not to mention all the refunds that the customers are all getting back now, which makes them lose money as well. And I wouldn't be too surprised at this point if they make it a lawsuit or two now because of how bad things are going. It's definitely not looking good anytime soon. I do think they deserve some of that because they're definitely in the wrong for what they did and the state that the game was launched in. And I do feel like, again, they should have just delayed the game like they should have. Just delayed it all the way back to next spring or next summer and actually get the game fixed. Because, to be honest, despite all the backlash, if they re-released it back in next year of spring or summer and the game was perfectly functional the way that it pretty much was, even if it was just like at least as far as on the PC versions, like it wasn't perfect but it was decent. I think they would have done a lot better honestly in the long run because the first time's everything. When you get things right the first time, it's perfectly really good and it's completely nice and everything's perfectly good. And the fact that they did what they did and how the state of the game is, at least on the console versions, it's definitely a disappointment indeed. And I am discouraged myself for what they did, but I'm also willing to give them a second chance because, like I said, this is not EA here. This is not Bethesda. This is CD Projekt Red here. And out of all of the developers that could have messed up and fucked up a game with so many bugs, glitches, crashes, and etc. through console versions, I mean, a game like this in the state that it's in, you expect something like Bethesda, EA, or even Ubisoft to do, but not see Project Red. But I still have hopes for this game. I still love this game, and I'm definitely am looking forward to making a video for you guys once the game is finished and polished all the way. And I can't speak properly. I'm gonna record the game once it's polished and fixed all the way. I don't feel like recording it at the moment now because I am facing bugs, even though they're not too bad or anything. I just don't really honestly want to do any Cyberpunk gameplay as of yet. And if things do go further down south, I will eventually play the game and not play the game. I've already played it, but record the game for you guys and show you guys some gameplay and maybe just do the story and whatnot. I'm not honestly really too sure, but yeah, as of yet, I'm disappointed in CD Projekt Red for what they did, but I also have high hopes, and I hope that hopefully the gaming industry as well as the other people and consumers can give CD Projekt Red as much of a chance as I am because again, despite it being wrong for what they did and how they released the game, that the state that it was in, instead of just delaying it again to next year, I do have high hopes and high high faith that they will eventually get the game in the state that it should be in, and the state that it definitely should be in to will the people that have bought it before in the first place and whatnot can hopefully have a great experience, because there's definitely something there. There's definitely some treat here, I feel, with this game. And if I feel like if we maybe give them a second chance to turn things around and to fix the bugs, fix the crashes after this coming New Year's and Christmas, which I don't see a problem with. You know, I don't have a problem with them, with the employees there taking a break and seeing their families and celebrating Happy New Year's, especially with COVID still around and everything. I don't have a problem with them having a holiday break and relax. But hopefully by next year, and hopefully eventually they can have a comeback, and hopefully this game, while it may not be the perfect state that people may have made out to be, hopefully we can get to a point to where this game can be a great experience of a game that we can still remember despite its backlash. And there's a couple games I can think of right now that have made not the greatest comebacks, but they have made successful turnarounds despite the beginning of their story. I mean, look at Battlefield 4 when that game first came out, with so much bugs and so much crashes and everything, or even Star Wars Battlefront 2. You know, some of these games that have had disaster launches and that have disaster startups to the game, that they've eventually made a comeback and turned around. And I'm hoping not CD Project Red, but a Cyberpunk 2077 can eventually get the same thing, if not a little bit more of the same formula story that Battlefield 4 and Battlefront 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2, have made eventually at the time of release to the launch of the game. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, hit subscribe for more, and I'll see you folks sooner or later. Bye bye, fellas.